Welcome back to RFL. I'm Andrew Whitman. With the 2012 conventions now behind us, what will the lasting images and memories be? Well, for the GOP, one speech may last forever. Clint Eastwood in the chair, still getting more talk really than any other speech out of Tampa. There was also Ann Romney and her loving reflections of her husband as a father and a neighbor. Spotlight a little dimmer for the nominee himself. Mitt Romney's speech almost forgotten a week plus later. Paul Ryan even more so, remembered more for its mistruths than its hard truths. Then there was Chris Christie, who may have dropped the ball in what was supposed to be his star turn in the keynote address, perhaps eclipsed as a 2016 player by Florida Senator Marco Rubio. And for the Democrats, well, their week in Charlotte may always be remembered as Bill Clinton's tour de force returned to center stage and that speech that he gave, or Tuesday's passionate address by First Lady Michelle Obama. There were two other mothers who stole hearts in the spotlight as well. The mom relying on health care reform to keep her daughter alive, the heart condition, or the military mom with a son in each of the four services. Or will Charlotte be remembered for President Obama's speech, seemingly eclipsed by so many of the other speakers we heard from? Or maybe we'll remember it as where we saw the rise of San Antonio Mayor Julian Castro into the national spotlight. So which party got the bigger boost from their primetime infomercial? Well, to answer that and more, we're now joined on the panel by Anthony Figlio, a former Democratic fundraiser who now identifies as conservative. He is also the vice president of Empire Government Strategies. Anthony, welcome back.
Thank you.
Who had the more memorable convention?
I think the Democratic Party, hands down. It was incredibly exciting. They pumped up the base compared to the Republicans, which just seemed very stale and flat to me. It was speaker after speaker on the Democratic side that really just rallied people, got them excited, from John Kerry all the way down to Mayor Castro and coming up with President Obama, Michelle Obama. It was hands down the Democratic Party won this one.
And I know I got the sense in Tampa that, boy, not everybody was completely sold on Mitt Romney. He wasn't the first choice of a lot of people in that room. Clearly, President Obama was the first choice of a lot of people in Charlotte. Do you think that that difference was visible on TV, Dom?
Yes, I do. I think what happened in Tampa, the convention again that you were at, Andrew, is I think your assessment, what you just said, was fully correct. It was more about anti-Obama.
Yeah.
It seemed almost like the crowd was like, as it relates to Mr. Romney. He was almost like a second thought. Here, with the Democrats, and I agree with you, that the Democratic debate, the Democratic convention was much more enthusiastic. Flat speech by President Obama, but the speakers around him did an outstanding job.
So which convention do you think is going to help their candidate, their presidential candidate, more? Do you think Mitt Romney gets the bigger boost from Tampa, or do you think Obama gets the bigger boost from Charlotte?
I don't think there's going to be much of a boost at all outside of the next week once they do polling. I think the big boost is going to come once the campaign really gets going and they start doing the debates. Because really what they're doing is rallying the troops. And we all know that there's probably 2 to 4% out there that's really going to be the swing of this election. So the goal is on the Republican Democratic side, pull out the base as much as you possibly can and try to get to those swing voters. But I think after about a week or so, it's going to be all about the issues and the meat.
It depends when you ask the question about a bounce. It depends on when the polling takes place. If the polling was done immediately after the Democratic convention, the Democrats are going to get a bounce, in which I think they will for the most part anyway. But if it's done today, they have a hangover to their convention, and it's called the Economic Report, which we already talked about today.
Those jobs numbers. Now, I hope social studies and civic students were watching the conventions, because you really did get two contrasting versions of what parties and what government should do from the two different parties. It seems like both parties really tried to lay out, you know, the Republicans were the limited government party, the Democrats were the party where government can help. It can't solve every problem. So which party do you think sold their worldview, their platform, and their sort of governmental approach the best?
You know, it was sort of a mixed bag for me looking at it. What I didn't see from both of them were any actual ideas. It was blaming the other guy. That, you know, the Republicans, their whole premise was just blaming Obama for everything, but not offering up, here's how I'm going to fix it. On the Democratic side, it seemed to be a lot of nostalgia from the Clinton era. You know, I think I saw like half the people that were part of Clinton's administration.
Reagan references in Tampa also. I mean, they couldn't talk about Bush, but they sure talked about Reagan.
No, they did, but it didn't. What I didn't see from either one, candidly, was any ideas. There was nothing getting us from point A to point B. And I think at the end of the day, people are struggling in a very difficult economy right now to put food on their table. And people wanted to actually hear, here's how I'm going to fix the problem.
All right, and then independent voters, I assume that if the Democrats put on a better show, that independents will probably be a little more swayed in the Democratic area. Do you think either of these conventions is going to impact down-ticket races, Senate races, House races, gubernatorial races?
I think the Democrats, again, put on a good show, and perhaps it will impact down-ticket races. And I think that Bill Clinton, once he hits the campaign trail on behalf of the Democrats, with Michelle Obama selling the president at the end of the day, and I didn't know if I'd be able to say this as far as this race goes, the president at the end of the day may have coattails. He may have coattails and impact some major races throughout the country. But again, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, if you will, is the economy. It's a very tough time. Food stamps, foreclosures, unemployment. People are hurting. They want answers.
All right, we're going to keep this conversation going online. We want you to head over to our Facebook page, or you can sound off via Twitter. Did the conventions change your opinion of either candidate or either party, for that matter? When we return, we're going to look ahead to what the two candidates have to focus on over the next 60 days. Stay with us.